His fearless personal leadership, tenacious devotion to duty, and extremely valorous actions in the face of overwhelming odds were in keeping with the finest traditions of the military service and reflect the utmost credit on him and the United States Army.
The real-life Rambo, Roy Benavidez, the Green Beret, who took on an army with just a knife. Roy Benavidez's story is the epitome of heroism, determination, and the relentless will to survive against insurmountable odds. His life, from a challenging childhood to becoming one of the most decorated soldiers in U.S. military history, reads like an action-packed movie script. However, every detail is rooted in reality, making his tale all the more extraordinary. Early life, a foundation of resilience. Roy Benavidez was born on August 5, 1935 in Cuero, Texas, into a life that would test him from the very beginning. Of Mexican and Yaqui Indian descent, Roy faced discrimination and hardship early on. His father, a sharecropper, died of tuberculosis when Roy was just 2 years old. His mother passed away 5 years later, leaving young Roy and his brother orphaned. The two boys were taken in by their uncle, Nicholas, and raised along with 8 cousins in El Campo, Texas. Life in the Benavidez household was far from easy. The family struggled to make ends meet, and from a young age, Roy had to work to contribute. He sold newspapers, shined shoes, and did whatever odd jobs he could find. School was also a challenge for Roy, not because of academics, but because of the racial discrimination he faced. The schools he attended were segregated, and Roy often found himself in physical altercations with classmates who taunted him because of his ethnicity. Despite these challenges, Roy was a determined young man. He dropped out of school at 15 to work full-time, but his dream was always to join the military. Inspired by the paratroopers he saw in World War II newsreels, Roy enlisted in the Texas National Guard at 17. His first attempt to join the Marines was unsuccessful due to his small stature, but Roy was not one to be easily deterred. He soon enlisted in the U.S. Army, where he began his military career as a paratrooper. The road to Vietnam, overcoming the impossible. Roy's journey to becoming a Green Beret was marked by both triumphs and setbacks. After completing basic training and airborne school, Roy served with the 82nd Airborne Division. It was here that he began to build the skills and resilience that would later define his military career. However, in 1965, during his first tour in Vietnam, tragedy struck. While on a patrol, Roy stepped on a landmine. The explosion severely injured his spine, and doctors at Fort Sam Houston, Texas, believed he would never walk again. For many, this prognosis would have been the end of their military career. But Roy was not like most people. Determined to prove the doctors wrong, Roy began a grueling, self-imposed rehabilitation regime. Every night, while his fellow patients slept, Roy would crawl out of bed, drag himself to a wall, and push himself up using the bars of his bed. Slowly but surely, he regained strength in his legs. Within a year, Roy was not only walking, but was deemed fit for active duty. Roy's incredible recovery allowed him to fulfill his dream of joining the elite Special Forces. He was assigned to the 5th Special Forces Group, Airborne, a unit known for its demanding training and intense missions. As a Green Beret, Roy was trained in various forms of combat, survival techniques, and medical procedures, skills that would soon be put to the ultimate test. Operation The Impossible Rescue. On May 2, 1968, Roy Benavidez's name would be etched into the annals of military history. That day, a 12-man Special Forces team, which included several of Roy's close friends, was dropped into a dense jungle area west of Loc Ninh, Vietnam, to gather intelligence. Unknown to them, they had landed in the middle of a North Vietnamese Army, NVA, encampment. The team was quickly surrounded by a battalion of over 1,000 enemy soldiers. Back at the forward operating base, Roy heard the radio calls for help. The team was in dire straits, running low on ammunition and suffering casualties. The helicopters sent to extract them were unable to land due to the intense enemy fire. Roy, who was at the base as part of the backup team, immediately volunteered to go to their aid. Without hesitation, Roy grabbed his medical bag and a knife, the only weapons he had at hand, and boarded one of the helicopters heading to the embattled team's location. The situation was so critical that there was no time to properly equip himself with more weapons or even food and water. As the helicopter approached the landing zone, it became apparent that the enemy fire was too intense to land. The pilot hovered just above the ground, and Roy jumped out into the chaos. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Roy sprinted 75 meters under heavy fire to reach the pinned-down team. Upon arrival, he found most of the team either dead or wounded. Ignoring his injuries from being shot and hit by shrapnel, Roy began administering first aid and pulling the wounded soldiers to safer positions. Roy's actions were relentless. Despite being shot multiple times, suffering severe wounds from a grenade blast, and enduring hand-to-hand combat with an NVA soldier, Roy continued to fight. At one point, he even commandeered a machine gun from a downed helicopter and provided covering fire to allow the evacuation of the wounded. When another helicopter arrived, Roy personally loaded the injured soldiers aboard, ensuring that everyone who could be saved was evacuated. Roy's heroics did not end there. After loading the wounded, he made several trips back to the battlefield to retrieve classified documents from the bodies of the fallen. His efforts prevented critical information from falling into enemy hands. Finally, when the last helicopter was preparing to depart, Roy, despite his multiple wounds and extreme exhaustion, crawled aboard. The aftermath, a long road to recognition. Roy Benavidez's actions that day saved the lives of at least 8 men and earned him the Distinguished Service Cross, the nation's second highest military decoration. However, many of Roy's comrades and superiors believed that his actions warranted the Medal of Honor. Due to the chaotic nature of the battle and the classified nature of the mission, it took years for Roy's deeds to be fully recognized. It wasn't until 1981, after extensive lobbying by his former commanders and fellow soldiers, that Roy Benavidez was finally awarded the Medal of Honor by President Ronald Reagan. During the ceremony, President Reagan remarked, "If the story of his heroism were a movie script, you would not believe it." The award citation highlighted Roy's fearless personal leadership, tenacious devotion to duty, and indomitable spirit as key factors that saved numerous lives and contributed to the success of the mission. A legacy of service beyond the battlefield. After retiring from the Army in 1976, Roy Benavidez dedicated his life to advocating for veterans. He traveled across the country, speaking at schools, military bases, and veteran organizations. His message was clear: the importance of duty, honor, and never giving up in the face of adversity. Roy also worked tirelessly to ensure that veterans received the benefits and recognition they deserved, often drawing on his own experiences to highlight the challenges faced by those returning from war. Roy's legacy extends beyond his military achievements. He is remembered as a man of integrity, humility, and unwavering dedication to his country and comrades. His life story has inspired countless individuals, both within and outside the military, to persevere through their own challenges. The man behind the medal. Despite the accolades and recognition, Roy Benavidez remained humble about his achievements. He often downplayed his heroics, attributing his actions to simply doing his duty. In interviews, he would speak more about the men he served with than about himself, always emphasizing the team effort involved in their missions. Roy's humility and sense of humor were evident in his interactions with others. He would often joke about his injuries, saying that he was just too damn mean to die. Yet, beneath the humor was a deep sense of gratitude for having survived when so many others did not. Roy made it his mission to honor the memory of those who had fallen, ensuring that their sacrifices were not forgotten. A symbol of courage. Roy Benavidez' story is more than just a tale of battlefield heroics. It is a powerful reminder of the strength of the human spirit and the ability to overcome seemingly impossible odds. His life serves as a symbol of what can be achieved through determination, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to one's values. In the years since his death in 1998, Roy Benavidez's legacy has continued to grow. Schools, military facilities, and even a U.S. Navy ship have been named in his honor. His story is taught in military academies as an example of leadership, courage, and the importance of never giving up. For those who knew him, Roy Benavidez was more than just a war hero. He was a friend, a mentor, and a role model. His life's work, both on and off the battlefield, has left an indelible mark on those who had the privilege of crossing his path. Conclusion: the lasting impact of Roy Benavidez. Roy Benavidez's life is a testament to the power of perseverance and the impact one individual can have on the world. His actions during that fateful day in Vietnam saved lives and prevented a disaster of unimaginable proportions. But it was his life after the war, his dedication to helping others, that truly defined his legacy. Roy's story will continue to inspire future generations of soldiers, leaders, and everyday people to strive for greatness, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. His life serves as a reminder that true heroism is not just about bravery in battle, but about the choices we make every day to stand up for what is right and to help those in need. In a world that often glorifies fictional heroes, Roy Benavidez stands out as a real-life example of what it means to be a hero. His story is one that deserves to be told and retold, ensuring that his legacy of courage, selflessness, and resilience lives on for generations to come.